It's a pleasure to chat with you guys. The film is amazing. It seems like a true labor of love, both in terms of filmmaking that it took so long to make, but then, in terms of your performances, it's just there's so much tenderness and hardship and everything else in between. What's it like stepping through now that you've actually done the whole story? Looking back, what do you remember the most?
How much of a wonderful experience it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I think everyone who was in the film, it was so crazy because we're all so close still. And I've never done a job where I've been so enmeshed with the other people on such a high affinity level.
For us as well, it's been over 3 years.
Yeah.
In terms of
It's been that long.
Well,
really?
for us, for Terence, it's been 18 years.
Yes, of course.
When we met, it was 3 years,
3
wasn't
years
it?
previous, and it was it was about 18 months before we get anywhere near a camera.
Wow.
And then that period since, so it's been a real, it's kind of bookended a huge journey.
Yeah.
And like last night was quite surreal, and that moment where you see it come to be on the screen, it was quite emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure the crowd responded at the end. Did you have a good premiere, would you say?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, we were very nervous because obviously not really seeing it.
Right.
And then seeing it. It was actually good because it was so beautiful, the Winter Garden Theatre. It was like leaves coming from
It's
the
a great
roof
place.
and lanterns, and it was so magical. And
you could feel that the weight of the breath at the end when the credits started to roll and the film had completed. It was just like you just got to sit and take it for a moment and breathe it in, and I could feel the general vibe in the audience was very much that.
Yeah.
Just sort of being able to take it in and process it.
Well, I mean, the other thing that speaks profoundly about the film is that your emotional arcs are so huge. I mean, there are films where there's arcs, and they work out. But for you guys, I can't even imagine. I haven't seen too many times in film where there's these huge arcs. What was that like to play? Did you have a hard time living those moments? Some of them, or what was it like?
It was very exciting for me to play Chris and to play our journey, because she's going from being a child to a woman, and a very strong woman, and to play that, it's like you can do so many things. Like obviously Terence had a very clear image because it's been in his head for so long, so you only hope that you facilitate what he has. But to play, there were so many options that you could have done and trying different things, and then you kind of leave it to the edit really of what comes up with. But I think for ours, we were very much on the same page, that we wanted it to be very truthful in the tender moments, and we wanted it to be very raw and very uncomfortable. So there was a real juxtaposition of the relationship, and then so that then it allowed you to believe that, because I feel like opposites occur all the time, so to have such an intense love, it can flip the other way, and then that allows the ending to come to peace, even though they've just come through this end bit of turmoil. So we both were on totally the same page, and kind of without even saying it in so many words, and we just kind of let it be.
I think that the greatest challenge was making it entirely believable, as you say. I mean, the script is so beautifully written. It's an actor's dream to read and then to perform, but exactly that, we had to commit wholly to the idea, the simple idea that these two characters are so besotted by each other at that point in the film. And for me, that's what really cleared it up. It made it really simple that Chris and Ewan are each other's worlds, that is it. And Ewan, very unfortunately, is sort of in a place in his life and at a time in history where he's unable to articulate that, and the stress and it's sort of living his entire life in a straitjacket because of the requirement that society and history put on him, and how that then in turn affects Chris massively. And the moment of resolve towards the end, when the audience get to that place, hopefully there's that understanding and belief in the journey, and that was seeds were planted very early on when it was the love story, and just committing to it in equal measure, exactly.
And trust.
Yeah, trust and love.
Just so we can beat each other up a bit, and it's okay. That we had a few bruises, but it's fine.
Well, you had a few.
No, but remember I scratched your neck?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I drew blood at one point.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, the scene where the tea scene, and then the grab scene, and then there was something on the way down that I we were like, "There's blood."
Take that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you, living in where this was shot and, the beauty of the area and everything else, did you guys, what was it like living day to day in between shoots?
It was quite extreme in a way because it was 3 major locations. So
I suppose that's true, right?
Yeah, we'd spent a long time in New Zealand, then we went to Luxembourg and then to Scotland, so it felt like in a way we were able to shoot the movie 3 times over.
Right.
So much of, obviously the exteriors were New Zealand and the Highlands, a place called Ballerton, and Braemar up in Aberdeenshire, but in Luxembourg it was purely studio based, so the environment, I think in a way it worked because the intimacy of the film in the sort of the main living room and the bedroom, the kitchen, it's a very different energy to the space outside, and I'm sure it wasn't meant to be, but the fact that we were in so many different locations, in a way I think it helped. But yeah, it was a joy to walk out onto that vista, the scene where Ewan walks away. I remember we shot that early morning, and just walking out onto that incredible sort of natural mise-en-scène that's just there to be shot, just begging to be captured. It was quite incredible.
Yeah, and also as well, I think being in these places and locations where you were kind of quite isolated in a way, in the most wonderful way. So you kind of we were able to hold this space with each other. So we were either shooting or with each other. And we all can get days off and things. We'd go on road trips, so it was very much. It was like this bubble that we had, which was really cool. Which was really impenetrable in a way.
It must be nurturing towards the story in some ways too, just because you're in that bubble with the people in the film and looking at it.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped?
Yeah, the relationships were real. There was real affinity and true that you had for them. So you're doing a scene and you really feel feelings for that person just in real life. So it was really cool.
And it translates on screen, I would say, for sure.
The thing about trust was a huge thing for us, because of what we go through. Some of the scenes, it was just a quick moment before the take went up, and it was, we've got each other's back. There was a quick embrace. So it was just a moment, that we were able to establish that quite quickly, and that created a platform for what we were able to do, I think.
Yeah.
So, the last thing I'd like to know is, coming through the other side of this film, I was talking to Terence about this, and would you ever read the book again, now that you've gone through this whole story?
Yeah.
It would be very different, I'm sure, now reading it again. Yeah. Or did you read it before, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I kind of suspected you must have.
Yeah.
A tool of constant soul. It was just diving into it in pages. One of the earliest scenes we shot, we read it together in the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Going to that out in Donata.
I know. Yeah, our copies by the end of it were just a mess. I just reread bits and because it's just so beautiful and magical. And the most amazing thing about the script is Terence pulled out the essence. He pulled out he manoeuvred it in a way where you don't have to say much, which is really amazing, because even though it was so powerful, the scenes weren't heavy on dialogue, so it was just the way that he told the story, and him as a filmmaker, why he's such a legend. There's a simplicity and a sensitivity to truthfulness, not just on a communicative level, on a visual level as well, which is really.
And it just characters being able to occupy space and time, just letting that play out, you know, wider frames, longer takes that would continue to run. It allowed you to just kind of morph into that space equally and inhabit it, and yeah, there was a real sort of relaxed energy with that, and it meant that when the dialogue did come along in its forms, it was really enjoyable to say words. You know, it was really enjoyable to be able to communicate as actors and as characters.
I remember some scenes we'd just do one setup and just like let the whole scene run.
Wow,
And we were like, cool.
Well, yeah.
That's amazing.
Have we
Good
got
luck.
that?
Good luck.
Yeah. 10 minutes later. Yeah, but the good thing about that as well, there was an adrenaline about it. It was almost at times like, you know, first night at the theatre, you know, because you've got 10 minutes of this scene to do and every beat's got to be in place. And they were the ones that normally ran, you know, a couple of takes.
Yeah.
Terence very rarely goes beyond 3, 4, 5 takes at most, you know. Normally he gets it pretty quickly, you know, and you know when he's got it. So.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure chatting. I love the film.
Thank
Just
you.
congratulations.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.